Are you wondering how today's finance leaders navigate the complexities of global markets? Are you curious about the strategies behind establishing successful global capability centers in India? Or perhaps are you wondering the role of automation and innovation in transforming finance departments? Today, we will get to these big questions. Hi, I'm Kiran Maestri. Welcome to Future of Our People. It's a series dedicated to leaders who are shaping the future of work and future of business. I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Sarvesh, the Chief Financial Officer for Modern India. Mr. Sarvesh is a beacon of innovation in finance transformation. With over 2 decades of experience that spans across critical areas such as business, finance, automation and innovation, and strategic planning, he's not only played a pivotal role in shaping finance functions, but also led initiatives in mergers and acquisitions, procurement, and HR, demonstrating a broad spectrum of leadership capabilities. Most recently, Mr. Sarvesh has been recognized for groundbreaking work with the CFO Hundred Award for Finance in Startup category. Mr. Sarvesh is a testament to the power of forward thinking and adaptability in today's fast-paced business environment. Sarvesh, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for the wonderful note, and I'm very happy to be part of this forum. And I've seen your the podcast, and I think you pick up the areas very well, and you try to come up with a different perspective and different subject. I think a lot of research goes behind it. So I think.
Thank you, Mr. Sarvesh. And I think my whole purpose was to bring an authentic and real-world content for our viewers to learn from leaders like yourself. On that note, today also, I'm very, very keen to learn from you in terms of your perspective on leadership, culture, employee engagement, and most importantly, your expertise in GCCs. So let's kickstart, Sarvesh. So every leader has a why that powers their vision. Could you distill for us your own core purpose that drives you, and how your core purpose has landed you to be the CFO for Modern India?
Okay, very, very good question. So actually, in my whole journey, I have always chosen and picked up mid-sized companies, and I work with those companies because normally what happens if you're working for larger organizations, at least my thinking was like you get lost in the crowd. So these working with these small companies has given me a lot of exposure in understanding much beyond finance. See, because today's world, understanding or just doing what you're doing within finance function is not enough, because end of the day, you have to win the deal, you have to support the business, the projects have to be executed, and with all these things, you have to manage the profit and cost as well, right? So with all this, my listing was in my whole journey of over 2 decades. I worked with different industries, different companies, and I have worked with mid-sized companies so that my exposure is to a larger extent. And actually, that has given me, at least in last 2 jobs, like complete a kind of in my earlier role, it was like almost a successor, deputy CFO kind of a role, and here. I am heading the Modern India as the CFO. So what happens is this exposure and understanding the organizational objectives and aligning with our own departmental objectives is very important, because end of the day, we cannot work in silos, right? So we have to be in sync with what organization is looking at each and every department. So that gives me a purpose of not looking at the status quo. For example, here I joined as the first employee and started the finance department. So those challenges actually gives me a kind of goosebump rather than just looking at the regular status quo and going with the regular finance department.
Oh, that's quite interesting, Sarvesh. I mean, it's very clearly evident that you love challenges. I mean, you have so much of expertise working for so many small to medium sized. I mean, that's the way your capabilities also increase, right? What has compelled you to accept the role as a CFO in Modern India? And I believe most recently, as I said, right, you've been recognized from the CFO Top 100 Award as well. So can you please talk us through about in terms of what did you do differently to help you get to that award, and What programs have you run specifically?
Sure. So the whatever knowledge I have gained throughout my career, and majority of the places I have done no applied. But this company gave me an opportunity of starting from the scratch. That means writing policy or hand holding the other departments, because see there is a lot of interdepartmental things that happens, right? Like finance, procurement, facility, IT, HR, all these are interdependent, because end of the day, if you leave anyone anything, then it may impact the cost, or it may impact the revenue, and finally, it will affect the bottom line. So this function, it's actually like a startup. So because the company was new, finance department was new. So in fact, here I am doing much beyond finance. It's finance, partially HR, overseeing IT in terms of their IT requirements, and then procurement comes under me. Then overseeing partially the legal, commercials, and those things, and then managing the facility as well. So this is like managing the entire thing end to end, and most of the areas which are a cost centers kind of a thing is under your lens. So like what is happening there, and much before even any invoice or cost comes and hits you, you are aware like what is happening there. So it's more of a proactive and controlling kind of a thing than the reactive, where when you finally get an expense, then you sit and review kind of a thing. So it's the other way. So that way, this opportunity gave me a lot of this thing in doing a lot of things proactively, and looking at the things with a different perspective, and end of the day, apply whatever knowledge I have gained from the different companies here.
I was reading recently one of the article from RBI Economy. It highlighted that India is one of the rapidly emerging as a global leader in hosting global capability center. Roughly $40 billion, that's almost 1% of our GDP, comes from GCC, and we have around 1600 GCC. And whilst GCC has been there for the last 2 decades, but however it has grabbed the momentum most recently, especially post-pandemic. I just wanted to understand how does that translate to your purpose, and what attracted you to join for Modern? Please also share your views around GCC and what strategic advantage that India offers as well.
Sure. I think it's a very appropriate question in the current environment where we are. So GCC is actually the global capability centers. The fundamental difference, if you look at any offshore center and the GCC, is like, for example, the offshore centers can be run by any company. The company, like for example, if you take our case, the Motor parent company can be a client to them. So that means I'm working for a company, and when I'm interacting with the on-site people, they are clients to me. So that is how that setup is done. But if you look at the GCC, it is just an extension of their own subsidiary, their own company kind of a thing. So there is no in-between third party here. This is like you are directly working for your parent company. And also for parent company, it is just extension or opening another center in another country kind of a thing. But look at the kind of advantages they get, right? Because if you look at this company, our own company, if you look at, they have established this company, and they are able to add more than 2,000 people, or rather 1,500 people in a span of 1 year. Look at the growth. And also, if you look at it, is very easy to know for them to put any programs or anything if they want to run. It is very easy for them. And the fundamental this thing is there is a trust factor established between the two companies, because it's your own parent and there is no third party in between. So what happens is the trust factor and pushing any of the policies or pushing any of the if you look at the biggest threat in any of the automation or AI things is today the trust factor. So such things, they can build their own COE centers here, and they can run the programs. And it is a very good and apt platform for anybody to run their own centers seamlessly, trust, have good leaders, and whatever you want to do, you can just have different leaders and give them all those things and just push all those programs here, and it will be done. So I think it's so easy and so transparent compared to the traditional businesses that we are always in. And if you look at the India part, India, I mean, as everybody knows, right from the numbers speak, like we are the only growing economy in the world, and our future looks very, very positive and very optimistic. Apart from that, if you look at, you have a young crowd. We have the youngest crowd in the world, so we have the young crowd here. You have a talent availability, be it data analytics, AI, even Java, anything, right? You have all the analytics, and you have a very good this thing of choosing from different. You want to go for a tier 1 city, tier 2 city, tier 3 city. You have so many choices, right? I don't think anywhere across the world you have so many choices. Like sourcing to China means you don't know what happens after that. You are giving and you are getting at such cheaper cost kind of a thing. But if you look at the choices we have, you have a talent choice. You have a tier 1 where you want to have world class facility. You will invest in tier 1. Tier 3 is also good facility, good thing. Maybe compared to the English speaking and all, maybe tier 1 are the best, and maybe tier 3 your work will get done. Are you so conscious about your looks and what I'm talking is the physical building or the English speaking crowd and those things, right? So like you have so many variety and choices. So that way they can choose from so many things, from different bundles, so many combinations. I don't think any other country can offer so many choice for anyone who want to start a GCC here.
So definitely India has got strategic advantage in terms of talent, and what you pointed out is the choice of cities as well, right? So depending on the cost and depending on their what they're looking to achieve from a business perspective, they have a lot of choice. Kind of business challenges that you faced, and how did you go about in addressing them to a stage where you are today, where you have more than 2,000 people working in India?
So actually, when the conversations were happening for hiring the senior team, we were never talking of the my skill or their organization thing. We were talking of the challenges that a company and how we can resolve together. That is how we were discussing. Rather than discussing what I am capable of or what the company is capable of, we were not discussing those things. We were discussing like how we can help each other.
Yes.
So when I joined, we were very clear. I mean, at least I was very clear. It is like a startup. By the time I came in, roughly 1,000 people were there. Finance was completely outsourced. So my first objective was to insource everything and start the finance department. So that is how I landed up here, and I was the first employee, as you rightly said. So my challenge was like, you have to do everything, right? You have to do everything. That's how I got into different departments: finance, facility had a lot of challenges. Then IT, looking at then procurement was never there. So I started a procurement because we were buying the laptops left and right without even looking into the cost and the configuration and those things. So like that, got into the different departments, and we had a very clear this thing, like it's a startup culture. So you will get into everything. There is nothing like finance. Okay, this is my boundary. Nothing like that. Everybody has to do everything. So that is how the whole thing started. And as we continue to grow, I think it's going to be much challenges. I think we are done with setting up and the day-to-day mundane things. I think we are done. So we are looking at the growth, because now the industry is growing and the company is looking to add more people. So we want to look at how best we can do. And shortly we are planning to open a center in Chennai. We opened 6 months back one center in Philippines. So
it's amazing, and I think sounds like you had such an amazing opportunity to start right from the scratch, and it also gave you an opportunity to cross collaborate across different departments and set the tone. And as you rightly said, you have got some good aspiration as well, right? In the coming months and years, you are growing. Your scope is going to grow as well. So I just wanted to touch base more on that one, Mr. Sarvesh, because as finance, right, we all often talk about finance transformation, especially from a technology perspective, right? Technology, automation, how do you automate or innovate? So based on your current role, can you talk us through any examples that you have implemented in terms of rolling out, right? Bringing that innovation at the marketplace that not only helped your internal organizations but also helped your clients.
Early adopters of technology like RPA is one of those. So we used to use various products like UiPath and stuff like that. So we were working very closely with our own team, and when the management wanted to drive this, every department in the company has to implement automation kind of a thing. We were the guinea pigs and we volunteered first. And we started with very simple projects like printing papers for GST return kind of a thing. Like the printing thing we took up, and there is a lot of doubts in the minds of the people, because the moment you read anything like AI automation, people will think of losing jobs and this thing. So before we even kick off, the first thing we did was we called the entire finance team. We addressed that there is no job loss. The company is aspiring to hire more people. If you look at, this is a growth projection, as we are aware. And maybe I may not add new people the way I was planning earlier. And let us get rid of all the mundane things and give it to the bots, AI kind of a thing. And the company is ready to invest, give us whatever tools we want. And post that all regular things will go away. Then you take up the new role. Because there are so many things we need in the company to be done. Like, for example, if someone is doing an invoicing thing, can you move into pricing? So like that, we gave a growth path, career path to at a very high level to everybody. And then we took them into confidence. And once the people were aware, like, okay, it's not more of a headcount reduction. You should see the way the projects lined up. Every month, there were at least 25 projects for the technology team to sit and understand. And in a span of 1 year, I think we did more than 200 projects and we implemented everything. And even whenever the client visit happens, they used to bring it to finance department to just show on the floor, like, okay, what is happening here? Can you just show us what is the kind of automation you have done? So it's becoming the entire thing for us to showcase everything. So it was such this thing, like we were able to do so many things, and actually, in fact, it became this thing for other departments, because HR had to take initiative. Everybody has to take initiative, and everybody had to push. Okay, when finance is doing, you can also look at something and stuff like that. So it was a very good journey, and also had opportunity to travel to the client's place and showcase along with the technology team the product capability, our demos. We were done some videos of how it can be used, kind of a thing and stuff like that. It was a very challenging but very fulfilling and very fun-giving this thing, because we are using technology and people are moving from one role to the other role, and their day-to-day things, like for example printing thing, right? Even if you put a fresher, he get fed up and run away in a month's time. So those things we were just putting everything in Excel and giving a print, and give one dedicated printer, you are done.
Could you quantify in terms of key results, in terms of an efficiency or productivity that you would be able to achieve for your clients by automating or adapting these technologies?
I would like to answer for myself rather than the client's thing, because
Sure.
what happens is I do not want to go by what the sales pitch happens kind of a thing. So if you look at for example, we grew in the range of 20-25% for 2 years, and there was no headcount added in the finance team. So the whole growth was managed within that headcount that was available. And the payments and everything was like vendor can go and upload the files and PDF files and their invoices there. Then it goes for a verification and payment. So that way, you are not missing anything, because what happens is many of the time this lies on some department stable, and it will come to you after 2 months, 3 months, or vendor follows up. So those delays are not there. So that way you kept the stakeholder vendor satisfaction also. And also there was a transparency in the system. That something has happened, people will just won't upload and they don't wait for the concurrence from the respective department and stuff like that. So the invoices and all, we used to have at least 1,000 invoices per month, and everything. It was taking at least a week's time for at least 7 to 8 people. And post that, it was only just 2 people. They were given an additional system where they do their regular work or something else, and they just monitor like everything is going on or any error has come, kind of a thing. So only 2 people were doing the whole invoice. So it will email the invoice with the PDF and with the subject, content and everything, with the body of the mail, everything, it just goes. So that's the kind of automation we have.
Fantastic, Mr. Sarvesh. Thank you for sharing as well. Let's deep now into your leadership, because you've got so much of experience in your leadership while. How has your leadership style evolved over a period of time?
See, initially, I also learned a lot of things on the job. Right, it's not that I've taken a course or 100 course or other things. So it's more on the job. That means it's very important for you, especially if you have career aspirations, that you have to keep learning. And with regard to some technology and other things, there are few things you have to unlearn also. The basic fundamental thing is certain things you need to let go and learn the new things, kind of it. That is the fundamental thing. And always challenge the status quo. And I always keep talking to my team also on the continuous improvement. So you should always look at continuous improvement. What next, kind of a thing. And once I gain the confidence, I just give complete independence to the team. They are independent to do whatever they want. And they can do. For me, the task has to be completed. Job has to be done. How they do, what tools they use, is all up to them. And also, I always look at job rotation among the team, so that there is no risk to the company as well, and also there is a value and a career this thing to the employee as well. So that they have worked in most of the areas of my department and they know everything. It's fine. Tomorrow he will leave and you go to a bigger role, but that's fine. But we have to do justice to the employee who is showing a loyalty to you and at least promising to stay with you for 4 to 5 years, right? So that is how I look at it. And also, wherever possible, try to bring in the technology and try to see how we can do better, kind of a thing. So my leadership style is very simple. End of the day, leave it to the team, delegate it, and let them do everything. But we should know which are all the key checks and balances we need to do to ensure that things are moving and are not stuck with someone for certain reasons. So that bird eye view we have to have. But yes, that's how I normally work.
It's all about delegation, right? So, I can imagine that you had to work with such a diverse and dynamic work environment, right, Mr. Sarvesh? So, how do you ensure that your workforce remains engaged, motivated, and productive? Because for me, employee engagement is one of my core topic as well, purely on the fact because 73% of the people in India, as per Gallup, right, remain disengaged. So trying to understand what has worked within your organization. So how do you keep them engaged, motivated, and productive?
Right. So as we discussed earlier, it is a similar line. So for example, one is the job rotation. Then there is a continuous engagement in terms of there will be regular team meetings, at least 2 team meetings in a week, so that you talk to them directly. And we get into your room and we discuss, and where we encourage people to voice out any concerns. If they have anything, they have hit a wall and they are looking for a decision or something, they can bring it up. And everybody is free to walk in and discuss. There is no organization hierarchy or anything we follow. And apart from that, we do not wait for the appraisal cycle. Every quarter or once the assignment is given, and if the job is not happening the way it was supposed to be done, a continuous feedback goes. We do not wait for a HR or a half yearly or annual appraisal cycle. So we do it then and there itself. And if we try to give them training, we try to help them, we try to handle and try to make them to be successful to ensure they learn and achieve what they're supposed to deliver kind of thing. This is the Viber, and also depending on how big we are, in few of my earlier companies, I used to hire freshers, train them, and I used to put them in different departments. So I'm good with nurturing people and taking care of their needs and putting them, ensuring that they work in different areas kind of a thing. So that is how I take care of them. So when you're talking to them very often, and when you're not having this organization hierarchy, if you're not maintaining, I think automatically people will get engaged. Of course, you do a lot of HR events, and there are team outings, and you go for lunch. Those things are there, but still, I think as a leader, you have to be accessible. You have to lead from the front, and you have to be available for them. And of course, it's not that their mistakes are theirs and their success is mine. It won't work that way. So you have to be there for everything, whatever it happens, and take the ownership. I actually tell my team, like for example, we hired a new employee. The first thing I told him is, please unlearn or do not bring the earlier organization culture. Start questioning. If an invoice comes to you, look at it, try to understand, ask questions, because you are new. For 3 months you can ask questions, even if it is a foolish question, but don't do it after 3 months. This is the right time. Being a new, anybody will help you, answer you, but please question. What we are saying is, don't be just an accountant, don't do just data entry. Understand why it has been incurred, why that expense has been done, what was the need. And so if there is a delay, also a question. If they want the early things, also a question. So you have to understand, like, it is not just post-mortem, because in most of the organizations, it's more of accountants, and it's run as a post-mortem. Everything happens, it comes here, I'll pay, and that's the end of it. That's how it works. So we don't do that. So that's what I was telling him. Please change your mindset.
In fact, I love the fact that what a best practice that you shared, Mr. Sarvesh, right? More often than not, we often wait to give that feedback on the annual surveys or mid-year surveys. The way you follow in terms of that continuous feedback, because the employee expectations are also shifting now, because they want ongoing feedback, they want ongoing discussions and conversations. And the way you gave that example leading from the front, and also adapt to the culture, right? It's very, very important when you bring in new people, also adapt to that culture. These were very insightful, Sarvesh. I just wanted to touch base on the culture part as well, right? Because culture plays a critical role for your employees to become engaged. How would you describe your company's culture and their initiatives or programs that you often do to ensure that your employees are aligned with your culture?
No, it's a very important thing, because that decides whether employee stays with you or whether, at the end of the day, the culture reflects how good or how bad a particular company is. Like, so when I joined, actually, I was part of the designing an India culture for the Indian employees. So I was part of that forum with the senior management. So we were, as a senior management, we did have few these things, and finally, when we figured out few of these initiatives were driven from US kind of a thing, we said better to have local clients or local vendors who will understand the local this thing, and then they run the respective programs for us. So then we identified few local vendors, and they work with us, and they understood the whole program, and we also understood how it works in the industry kind of a thing, and then we chose the best practices, and then we started rolling out the various programs. And if you look at, we are a global company. We have a US, then we have Philippines, then we have India. So we have like 3 different countries, 3 different cultures. And finally, somewhere we have to still engage. We have to get together, gel, bond. Everything has to happen, right? So whatever things happens, like for example, any festivals, anything, be it the Christmas or it's a Dasara, even Ramzan, all these things are being celebrated in a particular way, very professionally in the organization. so that all the employees are engaged, and our HR runs a lot of programs so that they also keep employees engaged. Like this year, we have introduced a lot of sports, like cricket tournaments, and we are looking at a badminton. Then we are looking at a TT, and then we are looking at what facilities are available in the facility that we have occupied, which we can use, kind of a thing, which we haven't done earlier. So that way, we are not trying to keep employees engaged. And if you look at, we have a hybrid model. So it becomes very difficult when 100% of your employees are not here, and if you want to run something. So HR is doing a really very good job in engaging even the people with a lot of online quiz competition, giving goodies for the people who participate and who win the competition and stuff like that. So a lot of tools are being used to run these programs. So that's a learning for us also, because a lot of people work from home. So I think culture is something that bonds you together, and especially when the leadership team here from US, we ensure that there is a floor walk happens, and there is a open house that happens. People feel free to ask questions and all those things. So we want to be have a more open-minded and open this thing culture kind of a thing, rather than it's not one way kind of a thing. It has to be a two-way, where the organization also looks at what employees need, and employees also constantly give a feedback in terms of what they are looking at. And in fact, our employee satisfaction survey from last year to this year has given a drastic results upwards. There is a lot of changes people have seen, and rating has really gone well compared to the last year.
It's fair to say that your culture is all about diversity and inclusive, giving constant recognition and rewards to your employees, making them engaged despite it's an hybrid work model. You keep them engaged with various activities, right? And it's remarkable when you say that the employee engagement score is also very high. All the programs, no wonder how your organization is on exponential growth, right? Especially over the last 2 years, the way kind of hiring people. It's pretty amazing, Sarvesh. So thank you for all those wonderful insights. I just want to know more about you because you've shared a lot of your insights around your culture, leadership, your philosophy. We touched upon the GCC. We touched upon the employee engagement. We want to know more about you. I often ask this question: do you have any specific practice that you've diligently followed throughout your life that helps you to remain focused and be prioritized and be effective in your role as a CFO? Because clearly, as with countless demands on your time, it's never easy for any CFO, right, to prioritize. So what's your success mantra here?
Yeah, actually, one basic thing that I have learned, probably I should have practiced it maybe from the beginning, maybe I would have been somewhere else today, is taking ownership for anything that you do. Otherwise, don't even pick up the task. And if you're taking ownership, you have to ensure you will monitor it end to end till completion. Ownership, and when you have finished the job, people should see the difference. You should have that mirror touch you should have. So that's very important. So maintaining relationship, and when you take ownership, the responsibility automatically comes, and there has to be a focus, right? Because even my own son, right, his focus or his span of attention is very low. If you are working like this, and if you're when you're watching mobile, if you think life also has to run like the short you see, then you will land up nowhere. It should not be a short, it has to be a complete picture. Then only it makes sense. So that is where I see, like especially the people, either they do not take up things end to end, they drop the job somewhere in between, or they are not focused because they get bored very easily. So they want what next. So life does not work that way. Yes, you have to be smart, and you have to do the hard work, and you have to complete the task. Then only someone will call you for the next job. If you're dropping every job saying that I am not, getting bored very easily, then I don't think in real life we will not achieve anything. Maybe something we can do on mobile, those things, but not on the real life. Real life, you have to prove yourself.
So you got a very good sense of clarity because having that clarity of taking ownership is also a bit challenging, right? So having that clarity of taking ownership has kind of helped you to prioritize. It's pretty amazing. So on that note, what advice you would give to younger version of yourself if you had to give an advice?
The basic thing I have seen is one is earlier whatever I said is the span of attention. Just don't look at just your job. Like for example, if I joined in the initial days as a AP person, don't just look at that AP kind of a thing. You just understand what happens prior to this, what happens next, after this, what happens. You should have that curiosity, because if you have, then automatically it takes you to the different departments, like how they incurred this expense, why did they incur, kind of a thing, and what happened prior to this. So there is a procurement involved in finalizing this number, and after this, what happens? Like in few roles like pricing, right? You cannot just send a price and leave it. You should be curious to know, did we win? Did we lose? If we lose, why did we lose? If we win, is it just because of the pricing? Are there any other qualitative aspects were there? So I think that overall perspective, looking at it, is very important rather than just trying to do what you have been given.
So having that curiosity mindset rather than getting into whatever is being given, having that curiosity. And that's what we often say, that, right? Fostering that growth mindset, having that ability to continuously learn, innovate, because that brings your curiosity, and that also helps for employees to grow in the career as well. I mean, Mr. Sarvesh, this has been fantastic, right? You've shared a lot of great insights. Finally, have you got any best practice insights for our viewers, or for employees who wanted to grow within their financial arena, right? Is there any piece of insight or advice you would love to offer them?
Yeah. One is ownership, which I have already spoken, and then look at continuous improvement. You should always raise the bar for yourself. Don't wait for somebody to tell you during your appraisal or somewhere else. You raise the bar every time. How you can, if you are taking one day to finish something, how can you do it in a half a day or a quarter day? Like that, you challenge your status for yourself. And you start with the smaller things of continuous improvement. If not using AI, AI is the best thing to happen. If you're not able to do, look at your own by changing what all you can achieve that. And I think it will definitely, and keep the curiosity and looking at what is happening in other departments beyond your role. So I think that will definitely give you the perspective of how an organization works and what is the overall objectives of the company and how you can align yourself to those objectives, and automatically you will grow.
Amazing. So it's all about raising the bar high through continuous learning and align with the organizational objectives, right? Once you achieve it, you don't have to be linear, but you can be non-linear as well. Look at the other departments as well. So amazing. Mr. Sarvesh, thank you very much for your time. I know you've shared a lot of amazing insights for us. I really appreciate for your taking your time despite your busy demands for talking us and also enlightening us with in terms of what's happening within the GCC world, because it's a place where the momentum is at exponential growth, and the kind of work that you're doing in terms of taking your organization towards that growth is remarkable and quite inspiring. And thank you for sharing some of your success mantra and insights as well.
Thank you, Kiran. It was a wonderful topic that you brought in because one is we're in alignment with what is happening in the industry, and also it's good to share some insider insights on what is happening internally and how the particular GCC works. I think thank you for bringing this wonderful topic, and I hope it is helpful to the users or listeners who will go over it, and at least it will give some meaningful insight to them to understand something about GCC, hopefully.
No, thank you. Thank you, Sarvesh. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.